Money changes everything. That's what people say, but I never believed it until the day a lawyer's call shattered my carefully arranged life into 1,000 jagged pieces. I was reshelving books in the library's fiction section when my phone buzzed. Usually, I let calls go to voicemail during work hours, but something made me answer. Maybe it was the unfamiliar number, or maybe fate has a way of forcing your hand when it's ready to deal you a new card. Miss Johnson, this is Robert Walsh from Walsh & Associates. I'm calling regarding your cousin, David Turner. David, a name I hadn't heard in years. Last I knew, he was somewhere in Silicon Valley, making millions or losing everything. The family wasn't quite sure which. There's been an incident, Walsh continued. Mr. Turner has passed away, and you're named in his will. The book in my hand, some romance novel about star-crossed lovers, slipped and hit the floor with a dull thud. A few patrons looked up, but I barely noticed them. That's impossible, I said. I haven't spoken to David in 15 years. Nevertheless, Miss Johnson, you've inherited his controlling stake in Tech Fusion Dynamics. The current market value is approximately $48 million. I grabbed the shelf to steady myself. $48 million. The number bounced around my head like a pinball, setting off bells and whistles with each collision. There must be some mistake, I whispered. No mistake. We'll need you to come to our offices to discuss the details. And Miss Johnson, I'd advise discretion until everything is finalized. After hanging up, I stood there, frozen between the shelves that had been my sanctuary for the past 8 years. My phone buzzed again. Lucas, probably wondering about our dinner plans. I let it go to voicemail. Lucas, my boyfriend of 2 years, the man who'd been hinting at marriage, who'd been so patient with my hesitation, my need for independence. What would he say about this? Maeve. Nina's voice startled me. My best friend and fellow librarian appeared at the end of the aisle. Her bright purple hair, a stark contrast to the muted library surroundings. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Something like that, I managed. Can you cover for me? I need some air. Outside, the city rushed by in its usual frenzy, but everything felt different, like I was watching it all through a warped lens. My cousin was dead. I was rich. The two facts refused to align in my mind. My phone buzzed again. Lucas. Hey, beautiful. His voice warm and familiar. Still on for dinner at my parents' place tonight? Carol and Henry Bennett. My potential future in-laws. They'd never approved of their son dating a librarian, though they hid it behind polite smiles and backhanded compliments. Actually, I'm not feeling well, I lied, surprising myself. I never lied to Lucas. Can we reschedule? Everything okay? Concern colored his voice, but something else too. Disappointment, suspicion, just a headache. I'll call you tomorrow. I ended the call and stared at my reflection in a store window. Same mousy brown hair, same unremarkable face, but something had shifted inside me, like a key turning in a lock I didn't know existed. David was dead, and he'd left me an empire I never asked for. The question was, why? And more importantly, what would it cost me? My phone buzzed one more time. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk about David. Meet me at Riverside Cafe tomorrow at 10. Come alone. CT. The carefully constructed simplicity of my life was unraveling. And I had a feeling this was just the beginning. The Riverside Cafe was exactly the kind of place Lucas would hate. Mismatched furniture, local art on exposed brick walls, and not a designer label in sight. I arrived 15 minutes early, ordered a chai latte, and watched the door like a hawk. At precisely 10, a woman in her 50s walked in. She had David's eyes, that same intense green that seemed to look right through you. She spotted me immediately and made her way over. Catherine Turner, she said, extending her hand. David's wife, though I suppose ex-wife would be more accurate now. My throat went dry. I didn't know David was married. There's a lot you don't know about your cousin. She sat down, declining my offer to get her a drink, including why he left you those shares. Before she could continue, my phone buzzed. Lucas. I silenced it, but Catherine noticed. Someone important. My boyfriend, I said, then added, he doesn't know about the inheritance yet. Catherine's lips tightened. Smart girl, keep it that way, especially if his last name is Bennett. The chai latte nearly spilled as my hand jerked. How did you? Because Carol Bennett has been trying to get her hands on Tech Fusion for years. David blocked her every attempt. She leaned forward. Your boyfriend's mother is a piranha in Chanel Mauve, and you just became her favorite prey. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text. Where are you? Mom and Dad insist on dinner tonight. No excuses. Catherine watched me read it. Let me guess, sudden interest in family dinner. I should tell Lucas the truth, I said, more to convince myself than her. He's different from his parents. Really? Catherine pulled out her phone, showed me a photo. It was Lucas, leaving what looked like an investment firm. This was taken yesterday. He's already meeting with merger specialists. The cafe suddenly felt too warm, too crowded. That doesn't mean. It means exactly what you think it means. Catherine's voice softened. David knew this would happen. That's why he left you specific instructions. She slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a letter in David's familiar scrawl. Dear Maeve, if you're reading this, I'm dead, and the vultures are circling. Whatever you do, don't sign anything. Trust Catherine. She knows the plan. My phone buzzed a third time. Lucas again. Car's picking you up at 7. Wear something nice. Mom's excited to see you. I bet she is, I thought, and felt something shift inside me, that same key turning, but this time unlocking anger instead of confusion. What's the plan? I asked Catherine. First, you're going to that dinner. Wear whatever the hell you want. Let them think you're still the same naive librarian they've been underestimating. She stood up. But before you go, we need to make a quick stop at Walsh & Associates. The lawyer's office? Why? Catherine smiled. And for a moment, I saw what David must have seen in her. Because, dear girl, that's where we keep the sharks. I sent Lucas a quick text, see you at 7, and followed Catherine out. My phone immediately lit up with his response. Perfect. Love you. 3 simple words that used to make my heart flutter. Now they felt like the first lines of a script I hadn't known I was performing in. As we walked to her car, Catherine glanced at me. You know this won't be easy. The Bennetts don't lose gracefully. I thought about all the subtle digs from Carol, the way Henry dismissed my career, how Lucas always seemed to steer our future talks toward his family's interests. 2 years of hints I'd ignored, wrapped in love I'd wanted to believe in. Good, I said, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. Neither do I. Catherine's laugh was sharp and appreciative. You really are David's cousin. She unlocked her car, a modest hybrid, not the luxury vehicle I'd expected. Ready to learn how to fight back, I took one last look at Lucas's text, then turned off my phone. Ready to win. The Bennett mansion loomed before me like a challenge. I smoothed down my simple black dress, definitely not the something nice Lucas had in mind, and pressed the doorbell. Lucas opened the door, his smile faltering slightly at my outfit. You look comfortable. That's the idea. I stepped past him into the marble foyer, where Carol Bennett stood waiting in what probably cost more than my annual salary. Maeve, darling. Her air kiss missed my cheek by inches. We have so much to celebrate. I caught Lucas shifting uncomfortably. Celebrate? Lucas told us everything, Henry called from his study. About your inheritance. Quite the windfall. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. I turned to Lucas, who at least had the decency to look ashamed. Did he now? Come, let's have drinks before dinner. Carol steered me toward the living room. Henry's been dying to discuss some investment opportunities with you. Of course he has. I remembered Catherine's words about sharks and wondered if she could see me now, swimming in deep water. Actually, I said, planting my feet, I'd like to know exactly what Lucas told you. The room went still. Carol's perfectly manicured hand tightened on her martini glass. Just that you've come into some tech shares. Nothing specific, of course. 48 million in Tech Fusion Dynamics. Henry said, emerging from his study. That's quite specific, isn't it? Lucas stepped forward. Maeve, I only mentioned it because… Because what? The words came out sharp enough to make him flinch. Because you couldn't wait to tell them about my private business. Or because you've already planned how to spend it. Carol's smile turned brittle. Now, dear, you're being dramatic. We're practically family. Lucas was going to propose next month, weren't you, darling? My laugh surprised even me. Was he? Before or after the merger specialists? The glass in Carol's hand actually cracked. Lucas went pale. How did you… know? I pulled out my phone, showed them Catherine's photo. Funny thing about family secrets, they have a way of coming out. Henry's face darkened. Catherine Turner has no right to warn me, unlike my boyfriend, who apparently reports everything to mommy and daddy. That's not fair, Lucas protested. I love you. This could be good for all of us. All of us. I gestured around the room. Or all of you. Carol set down her broken glass. Perhaps we should discuss this after dinner. The chef prepared your favorite, Lucas mentioned. Stop. My voice cut through her practiced smoothness. Just stop pretending. I've seen the merger proposals. I know about the failed takeover attempts when David was alive. Henry stepped forward, all pretense gone. That company should have been ours years ago. Your cousin was an obstacle. And now I'm the obstacle. The pieces clicked into place. Is that why you pushed Lucas to date me 2 years ago? Were you planning this even then? Lucas reached for my hand. I jerked away. Maeve, please, whatever you're thinking. I'm thinking clearly for the first time in 2 years. I turned to Carol. You must have been thrilled when you found out about my inheritance. Finally, a way in. You ungrateful little… Carol caught herself, forced another smile. Let's all calm down. We can discuss this reasonably. Nothing about this is reasonable. I headed for the door. But Lucas blocked my path. Don't leave like this, he pleaded. We can work it out. I do love you. I looked into his eyes. Eyes I'd trusted. Eyes that had lied. No, you love what I represent. There's a difference. If you walk out that door, Henry called after me, you'll regret it. I paused at the threshold, turned back one last time. No, I'll regret the 2 years I spent thinking I belonged here. But that stops now. The door slammed behind me with satisfying force. In my purse, my phone buzzed with a text from Catherine. How'd it go? I typed back. They showed their teeth. Your turn. Her response came instantly. Perfect. Meet me at Walsh's office tomorrow. Time to show them ours. The night air felt clean after the mansion's suffocating atmosphere. I walked to my car, leaving behind the fantasy of belonging to their world. They wanted a game. Fine. But they'd forgotten something important. I had David's blood in my veins, and now I had nothing left to lose. The library's back office felt like a bunker, with Nina perched on my desk while I paced between filing cabinets. 3 days since the Bennett dinner, and my phone wouldn't stop buzzing with messages from Lucas. So he knew, Nina asked, scrolling through the texts. The whole time. 2 years. My laugh sounded hollow, even to me. 2 years of planning how to get his hands on David's company. Nina set my phone down. You need to read this. She pulled up an article on her tablet. It hit the business blogs this morning. The headline made my stomach drop. Bennett Industries faces SEC investigation. Family empire on shaky ground. Henry Bennett's been cooking the books, Nina said. They're practically bankrupt. A knock at the door made us both jump. Catherine stood there, looking grimmer than usual. You've seen the news? Just now. I gestured at Nina. This is my friend. Nina Parker, I know. Catherine closed the door. I've been doing my homework. She's the only person you trust besides Lucas. Well, trusted. Nina straightened. And who exactly are you? Someone who knows what the Bennetts are really after. Catherine pulled out a USB drive. This isn't just about tech fusion anymore. Show them, Nina. Nina plugged in the drive, and her tablet filled with documents, bank statements, emails, merger proposals dating back 3 years. They've been planning this since before you met Lucas, Catherine said. Carol Bennett orchestrated the whole thing. She knew David was sick before anyone else. The room tilted slightly. How? Because she had someone watching him, watching you too. Catherine's voice softened. That's not all. Check the last folder. Nina's sharp intake of breath made me look. There were photos, dozens of them. Me at work, at home, with Lucas, dating back 3 years. They chose you, Catherine said. Found the perfect mark. Someone lonely, someone who'd believe Lucas could fall for a quiet librarian. My legs gave out. I sank into my chair, remembering every chance meeting with Lucas. Every time he seemed to know exactly what I needed to hear. There's more, Nina whispered, still scrolling. Maeve, they were the ones who isolated David, made sure you two lost touch. The pieces clicked together. The mysterious family rifts, the gradual distance, the way David tried to reach out before. When did he die? I asked Catherine. Really? 2 weeks ago, murder staged as suicide. Her words fell like stones. They thought they'd finally broken him. Instead, he changed his will. A sound escaped me, half laugh, half sob. He knew, and he gave me the shares to finish what he started. Catherine nodded. But they're desperate now. The SEC investigation, the failing company. They'll come after you hard. My phone buzzed again. Lucas, please, we need to talk. I can explain everything. Nina touched my arm. What are you going to do? I looked at the photos, at years of manipulation captured in pixels, at the careful construction of a love story that was really a business strategy. First, I said, standing up, I'm going to call that lawyer. Walsh? Catherine asked. No, someone better. I pulled out the card David's lawyer had given me. Someone who specializes in corporate takeovers. Nina's eyes widened. You're going after them? They're already drowning, I said, surprising myself with how calm I felt. I'm just going to help them sink. Catherine's smile was sharp. David would be proud. My phone buzzed one final time. Carol Bennett, dinner tomorrow, just us girls. We should talk about Lucas's future. I showed them the message. Nina swore under her breath, but Catherine just nodded. Perfect, she said. Except, why? Because Carol Bennett thinks she's still playing chess. Catherine gathered her things. Time to show her she's been playing checkers all along. I typed back a response, looking forward to it. The lie felt clean on my fingers, like the first page of a new book. They'd written my story for 3 years. Now it was my turn to write theirs. And this time, I knew exactly how it would end. Carol Bennett chose Le Jardin for our dinner, the kind of restaurant where the menu has no prices, and the waiters judge your wine selection. I arrived early, armed with Catherine's USB drive in my purse, and David's last letter burning a hole in my pocket. Carol was already there, perfectly coiffed in Chanel. Maeve, darling, I took the liberty of ordering champagne. To celebrate what? I settled into my chair, noting the extra place setting. I thought this was just us girls. Oh, did I forget to mention? Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Lucas insisted on joining us. He's parking the car. Of course he was. I touched the USB drive through my purse, remembering Catherine's warning. Don't show your hand too early. Before he arrives, Carol leaned forward. I want to clear the air about that unfortunate dinner. Which part? The ambush or the threats? Don't be dramatic. She sipped her water. Henry can be direct, but we only want what's best for everyone. Everyone meaning the Bennett family, which could include you. She reached across the table, touched my hand. Lucas loves you. The merger would just be formalizing things. The champagne arrived with Lucas, who bent to kiss my cheek. I turned my head slightly, making him catch the corner of my mouth instead. You look beautiful, he said, settling between us. I've missed you. Funny how surveillance photos work that way. His glass froze halfway to his lips. Carol's knuckles whitened around her stem. What did you say? Lucas asked. I pulled out my phone, showed them the photos Catherine had given me. 3 years of watching, planning, orchestrating. That's quite the long game. Where did you get those? Carol's voice had lost its polish. The same place I got these. I placed David's letter on the table. He wrote this the day before he died, or should I say, the day before you had him killed. Lucas went pale. Maeve, whatever you think, I don't think, I know. I pulled out the USB drive. Every email, every transaction, every piece of evidence showing how you systematically destroyed David's life while setting up mine. Carol's mask cracked. You stupid girl, you have no idea what you're dealing with. Actually, I do. I stood up, gathering my things. The SEC investigation, that was just the beginning. The real documents hit the press tomorrow morning. Lucas grabbed my arm. Wait, don't touch me. I jerked away. You know what the funny thing is? Somewhere along the way, I think you actually started to care, but not enough to stop, right? I did care, I do. His voice cracked. It wasn't supposed to go this far. David wasn't supposed to… To what? Fight back? Leave me his shares? I laughed, and it sounded like breaking glass. He knew what you were. All of you. That's why he made sure I'd have the power to finish what he started. Carol stood, her composure finally shattering. If you think you can threaten us… I'm not threatening anything, I'm promising. I met her gaze steadily. By this time tomorrow, Bennett Industries will be under federal investigation. Your reputation, your social standing, everything you value, gone. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Lucas, those merger papers you were hoping I'd sign, I already did, with your biggest competitor. The champagne bottle crashed to the floor as Carol lunged for her phone. Lucas just sat there, staring at nothing. Outside, Catherine was waiting in her car. How'd it go? Exactly as planned. My hands were shaking now, the adrenaline fading. Did you send the files? 10 minutes ago. It'll hit the morning news cycle. She studied my face. You okay? I thought about Lucas's face when I mentioned the merger, about Carol's mask finally cracking, about David, who'd seen this coming and armed me for the fight. No, I said honestly, but I will be. Catherine started the car. Where to? I touched the letter in my pocket, David's last gift, his final move in a game I was only beginning to understand. The lawyer's office, I said. We're not done yet. The morning headlines hit like bombs. Bennett Industries under federal investigation. Tech dynasty crumbles. Corporate scandal rocks social elite. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I sat in Walsh's office, staring at security footage that changed everything. Play it again, I told the lawyer. The grainy video showed David entering his office the night he died. He wasn't alone. Lucas was with him. Timestamp shows this was 3 hours before. Walsh trailed off. Before they made it look like suicide, Catherine's voice was tight. Maeve, we didn't know. I watched Lucas on screen, gesturing angrily. David remained calm, writing something, the letter he'd left me. Then Henry Bennett entered the frame. Stop. I couldn't watch the rest again. Why didn't this come out during the investigation? Because I buried it. Henry Bennett's voice made us all jump. He stood in the doorway, looking older than I'd ever seen him. May I come in? Catherine moved to block his path. Give me one reason. Because I'm here to confess. He placed a USB drive on Walsh's desk. Everything. The surveillance, the manipulation, David's murder, all of it. My throat closed. Why now? Because Lucas turned himself in an hour ago. Henry's composure cracked. My son is going to prison, and I won't let him go alone. The room tilted. Lucas had turned himself in. Lucas, who'd watched David die, who'd been part of it all, had finally chosen truth over family. Carol doesn't know you're here, I realized. Carol is boarding a private jet to a non-extradition country. His laugh was hollow. She always had an escape plan. I chose to face the consequences. My revenge fantasy was crumbling. I'd wanted them to suffer, to feel as betrayed as I did. But watching Henry Bennett surrender his freedom to stand with his son felt like a punch to the gut. The letter, I said suddenly. The one David wrote that night. What did it say? Henry pulled out a folded paper, the real letter, not the copy I had. He knew what was coming, read it. My hands shook as I unfolded it. Maeve, if you're reading this, I'm dead, and you're probably burning with revenge. Don't. The Bennetts destroyed themselves long before they came after us. The shares I left you aren't meant as a weapon. They're a chance to build something better. Lucas knows this. Despite everything, he might be the only one who can help you do it. Love, David. He knew, I whispered. He knew Lucas would choose differently, in the end. My son loved you, Henry said quietly. That wasn't part of the plan. It's why he couldn't go through with the final merger, why he fought with Carol, why he's confessing now. Catherine touched my arm. Maeve? I stared at the letter, at Henry's broken expression, at the evidence of a revenge plot that had somehow twisted into something else entirely. The press conference, I said finally. The one where I was going to expose everything, cancel it. What? Catherine straightened. After everything they did? David was right. This isn't about destroying them anymore. I faced Henry. You and Lucas will face justice through the courts, but Tech Fusion, we're going to rebuild it. Make it what David always wanted. We? Henry asked. Lucas will serve his time, but when he's out, I swallowed hard. David trusted him for a reason. Maybe it's time I figured out why. Walsh cleared his throat. The press is waiting downstairs. What should I tell them? I looked at the security footage, frozen on David's face, at Henry, choosing accountability over escape, at the letter that had changed everything. Tell them. I took a deep breath. Tell them this is a story about redemption, not revenge. My phone buzzed. Nina, probably wondering why I wasn't destroying the Bennetts as planned. But David's words echoed in my head. A chance to build something better. The hard part wouldn't be forgiving Lucas. The hard part would be forgiving myself for wanting to become exactly what I'd hated about them. Ready? Catherine asked, gesturing toward the door. No, I wasn't ready at all. But maybe that was the point. The prison visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and stale coffee. Lucas sat across from me, orange jumpsuit stark against his pale skin. 3 months in custody had stripped away his polished veneer, leaving something raw and unfamiliar. You got my letter? He asked. I placed David's final letter on the table between us. I got both of them. His eyes fixed on David's handwriting. Then you know. I know he trusted you. What I don't know is why. Lucas touched the letter's edge, then pulled back as if burned. The night he died, I was supposed to get his signature on the merger documents. Instead, he showed me everything. The real Tech Fusion financials, the prototype designs, what the company could become. And that changed your mind? No. His laugh was bitter. What changed my mind was watching my mother order his death like she was ordering dinner. A guard shifted nearby, reminding us we weren't alone. I lowered my voice. Why didn't you stop it? Because I was a coward. He met my eyes for the first time. But David knew that too. He knew I'd eventually choose differently. How could he possibly? Because of you? Lucas pushed David's letter toward me. He saw how I changed around you. Not just pretending, but actually changing. That's why he left you the shares. Not to destroy us, but to finish what he started. My throat tightened. The hidden clause in the charter. Article 7.3. Lucas nodded. If the shares are held by a direct descendant of the Turner family, they can't be diluted or transferred without unanimous board approval. Which means my mother's plan was doomed from the start. David made sure of that. The door opened, and Catherine walked in, carrying a thick folder. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was... She stopped, seeing Lucas. Oh. It's okay, I said. He needs to hear this too. Catherine sat beside me, spreading documents across the table. Carol's been found. Singapore authorities picked her up an hour ago. Lucas closed his eyes briefly. Good. There's more. Catherine pulled out a final document. We found David's original business plan. The one he wrote before the Bennetts got involved. My hands shook as I read it. A technology education initiative. Free coding schools in underserved communities, Lucas explained. That was his real vision, before my family convinced him to focus on profit instead. Which is why he left everything to you, Catherine said. He knew you'd understand the value of education, of giving people chances they might not otherwise have. The librarian in me stirred, a place where anyone could learn, regardless of background. We can still build it, Lucas said quietly. Even from in here, I can help, if you'll let me. I studied his face, the face I'd loved, hated, and now couldn't quite categorize. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't. He pushed away from the table. Trust David instead. He saw something in both of us, something worth saving. Catherine touched my arm. Maeve? I looked at the scattered documents, David's vision, Lucas's confession, the future waiting to be built from the ashes of revenge. Article 7.3 stays in place. The shares remain protected. Of course, Lucas agreed. But, I continued, when you get out, there's a place for you in the education initiative, if you're willing to build something instead of destroying it. Time's up, the guard called. Lucas stood, hesitated. I loved you, you know. Not at first, but eventually. That part was real. I know. I gathered the documents. That's why David trusted you. And maybe that's why I can too. Eventually. He nodded once, understanding the weight of that maybe, then turned to go. Lucas, I called after him. He looked back. David was right about one more thing. What's that? Redemption is harder than revenge, but it's worth more in the end. The door closed behind him, and I felt something shift. Not the key turning this time, but a door opening to something new, something better. Catherine squeezed my hand. Ready? I picked up David's letter, his final gift, now feeling less like a weapon and more like a foundation. Ready to build. The Turner Bennett Technology Center occupied an old warehouse in the city's forgotten industrial district. Exposed brick walls now held rows of computers, and the former loading dock had become a sunny reading room. I stood in the entrance, watching the first group of students file in. Teenagers mostly, carrying worn backpacks and uncertain dreams. Nina appeared beside me, her purple hair now streaked with silver. They looked terrified. They look like me, I said. Before all this, the center had taken 18 months to build, each day a step away from revenge and towards something else, something David had seen coming all along. Catherine emerged from her office, carrying a familiar envelope. This came from the prison. Lucas's parole hearing was next month. His letters had evolved from apologies to ideas, each one filled with plans for expanding the center's reach. I tucked the envelope away for later. Miss Johnson, a girl with thick glasses, approached, clutching a laptop. I found something weird in the registration system. I followed her to her workstation, where she'd pulled up the center's code. There, buried in the programming, was a message I'd never seen. For Maeve, who learned that the best revenge is proving them wrong. Love, David. My throat tightened. Even now, he was leaving breadcrumbs, hidden messages in the foundation he'd helped me build. It's not a bug, I told the girl. It's a feature. Want to learn how he did it? Her eyes lit up. We spent the next hour dissecting David's code, other students gradually gathering around to watch. This was what he'd wanted all along. Knowledge freely given, barriers broken down. The door chimed, and Henry Bennett walked in. He'd aged decades in prison, but his eyes were clearer now. Just wanted to see it, he said quietly. Before I leave town. I nodded toward the students. Want a tour? He followed me through the facility, past coding classes and art workshops, study spaces and collaboration rooms. In each one, people from different worlds worked together, learning, creating. Carol called, he said finally, from Singapore. I stiffened. And? She wanted to invest. I told her no. He smiled slightly. Some things shouldn't be about profit. In my office, David's letter sat framed on the wall, next to the article announcing Carol's arrest. Redemption and justice, side by side. Lucas would be proud, Henry said, then caught himself. Sorry, I shouldn't. It's okay. I touched the envelope in my pocket. He'll see it soon enough. Nina poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but the reporters are here for the opening ceremony. I dreaded this moment, standing in front of cameras, explaining what we'd built, but looking at the students through my office window, I realized I didn't need to explain anything. The results spoke for themselves. Coming, I told Nina, then turned to Henry. Will you stay? He shook his head. This is your moment. Besides, he gestured to the security camera in the corner. I think I've been on enough surveillance footage for one lifetime. I watched him leave, then joined Nina by the podium. The reporters waited with their cameras, ready to document the rise of the Turner Bennett Technology Center. Though most had missed the real story, this wasn't about revenge or redemption anymore. It was about choice. The choice to build instead of destroy, to teach instead of manipulate, to find strength in vulnerability rather than power. Ready? Nina squeezed my hand. I looked at our students, each carrying their own stories of struggle and hope. At Catherine, who'd helped me navigate between justice and vengeance. At the empty seat I'd saved, just in case Lucas earned his way back. Actually, I said, stepping away from the podium, I think we should let them tell the story. I beckoned to the girl who'd found David's message. She approached nervously, then began to speak about discovering hidden code and learning to create something new. In her voice, I heard the future David had imagined. Not a revenge story, but a beginning. And maybe that had been the point all along.